Welcome to this webinar. This webinar is a little bit scary because I wanted to give a cut about what you should do, what you should avoid in prenatal yoga. So because our target as a yoga teacher, the main target, and these are data that you can find, are women between 30 and 45 years old. It's very common that you will get a lot of women pregnant, okay? Especially between 35 and 40. This is the age now. And I'm not judging. I had my son, I was 33. And I think as a woman, you can have your pregnancy anytime you want, but there are some risks in nowadays because pregnancy are very late, okay? If you have a student that is pregnant on her 20s, and if you are a student that is pregnant on her 40, is different. So nowadays, it's so important to teach prenatal yoga as it should be done, okay? Like it's really, really important. Because the risks because of the age are more, and because there is a way to teach prenatal yoga safety, okay? So first of all, you need to do an interview. So if someone is calling you or is coming to your class and you want to teach prenatal yoga or you want to give some poses to adapt the class, let's say, let's do the most common example you will face. You have a regular class, hatha yoga class or yin class or whatever, and one of your students, she's gonna be between 35 and 40, she comes to you and she said, I'm pregnant, I just found out, okay? So first of all, I give you 5 questions that are very important for you to know if she can stay that day in the class. If you want to take this responsibility, especially if you live in America, I have many teachers in America and I know the law and the insurance, and it's really, you have to be really careful as a yoga teacher there, okay? So I want to protect you as much as possible. And I don't want to scare you, but there is really a big difference between states, the north of Europe and the south of Europe, okay? Also South America. Like, it's also about culture. We are more like, yeah, come, let's do yoga. And in states, it's like, you know, you can't teach yoga, you can't have a pregnant student if you don't have pregnant class, you need your TTC in prenatal yoga, and you're risking high because they have different mindset. And I don't want to take any position. I want you to start to think, what do you need, okay? So if you have a pregnant woman, you need to ask a few questions to make sure you're safe and she's safe during the class. And these questions are, I prepared the notes for you, so I will send you everything with the recordings. First of all, how far along are you? How far are you within your pregnancy? Okay, sometimes it's really the day 2, because you're a yoga teacher, so usually you become also a mentor, and it's very nice. They want to share it with you, and usually they're looking for a baby for a long time. So sometimes day 2, sometimes they tell you that it's very late. And this is not always good. Sometimes they tell you too late, like 2 months or 3 months pregnant, basically at the end of the first trimester. And it happened to me only once on my advanced classes. She was a friend of mine. She was looking for a baby, and she attended a class that was very, very intermediate. And after, she didn't feel so well, of course, because I was doing a lot of inversion, forward bendings, and then she found out she was pregnant. So these things are happening, just make sure that you have a clear mind. Just take a decision today after this webinar, okay? Yes, I want to teach prenatal. No, I just want to have some cautions about that. So first of all, someone is coming to you and is telling you he's pregnant. You ask first question, how far are you along, okay? Which trimester? Because for every trimester, you will learn some modification. Then, very important, is this your first pregnancy? And did you have miscarriage in the past? Because if it's the first pregnancy, for example, they will be very scared, okay? They will be scared to do anything. And if they had a miscarriage, or some very difficult situation, and I don't want to talk about this now. We will need another webinar, but just for prenatal yoga teacher, because it's really unbelievable how many things that can happen during the pregnancy. So if they had a miscarriage, they will be even more scared. And you have to be careful because they are more sensitive and they are more fragile. When our body gets through a miscarriage, there is a trauma there that that you have to deal with as a yoga teacher. There is really a trauma, and it's very painful, and it's involving a lot of emotions. So I said these three are the first most important question. And if your pregnant student had a miscarriage, I suggest you don't let her stay in a regular class, okay? Nobody should stay in a regular class, but this is a practical example. Lucia is coming to my class. I'm pregnant. I had 2 miscarriages. I send you home. Okay. I don't take you here in my regular yoga class, not even if it's yin. And I don't want to take this responsibility also, Then another very important question, this is more related if they come to prenatal yoga, is do you have medical clearance to practice yoga? To teach prenatal yoga, you need the okay from the doctor. Okay? You need to have it. I ask all my students to send us a pictures of, a prescription that says the pregnancy of this girl, it's okay, it's healthy, she can do prenatal yoga. When the doctor is telling me that she can do prenatal yoga, I accept her. Otherwise, I think about private classes or special classes. For example, if she should be on rest, okay, then you can think about therapeutic yoga, but this is another chapter. And then you have to ask, how are you feeling today? And this is very important. How are you feeling today? Because some of your students will come with nausea or with strong acidity, and this can happen just in the beginning, or they will feel dizzy. It happened to me. I had one of my regular students, she got pregnant. I am prenatal yoga teacher, so I can have her in my regular class in the beginning, okay? Because I know which variation I can give, and my insurance is covering me, and I'm entitled to do that. So I say, of course, no problem. You can still come to Hatha Yoga for the first few weeks, but straight away, she felt dizzy. Okay, so always ask how do they feel. And if you don't want to ask about a miscarriage in the beginning, another way to ask is, did you experience any complication? Okay. So this is like an interview, but it's a good interview that I'm teaching in my prenatal yoga course, and that you can use always, okay, for pregnant students. And I think some of these questions are really good also for Hatha Yoga. I mean, when you talk first to the students and you're asking, how are you? Are you under some medical prescription or situation? Is there anything you want to tell me about your body, and how do you feel today? I love this question. How do you feel today? Now you feel so considered, and I always suggest to my teachers in our schools to arrive in the class and say, hi guys, how are you today? How do you feel? Is there anything you want to tell me? Okay. Any question about that? All clear? I want to know from you guys, are you making this question? Like, are you interviewing your students? Because you're all teachers here, I see from the chat. So are you asking, how are you? And do you have insurance? Do you ask a medical consent to do yoga practice? Yes, no. Yes, yes. Very good. You should ask. Okay, you should ask, guys. You should ask a medical paper from the doctor to come to yoga. If you have the insurance, nowadays yoga it's really serious. We start to be like the gym, okay? It's not anymore like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's like the lights is on yoga and the lights is on yoga teachers. So I suggest you strongly to have an insurance, to ask the doctor permission. It's like in Italy, it's like this, and in most of Europe, if you want to have a physical activity, you need a medical visit with a doctor, you know, heart, and just a doctor that say that you are in a healthy position. And then as a teacher, you need the insurance. Absolutely. My suggestion for prenatal yoga, even more, guys, I don't want to scare you today, but I have to. That's my role for prenatal. Okay, you cannot make any mistake. One of you is asking, but also for regular students, I only ask new students if they have any injuries or pain in the body. I ask for every student, and this is the law in Italy and in the most of Europe. I ask because we are teaching yoga. It's a physical activities, you know, it's not considered anymore like a meditation or relaxation. So we are like Pilates, we are like basically going to the gym. So yes, I ask, it's an activity. So physical activity. It's like if you go to dance to learn ballet. So we ask for always before September because it's staying 1 year. It's valid for 1 year. So in September, all of our students, they come with a medical paper that say Lucia is healthy, she can practice yoga. And usually people in Italy, they don't do all yoga. Maybe they do gym, maybe they go to swim, maybe they do other activities, tennis. You need this for everything, okay? And why I'm so strict, because your insurance will not tell you, but they will cover only if you have this piece of paper. So let's say you have a guy with a problem, with a heart problem, he's coming to yoga, he's doing Shirshasana or some strong yoga. Let's say you teach Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga, something happened because he had a heart problem and you didn't ask this medical paper, then it's a problem and the insurance doesn't cover, okay? I became very expert now because I have 3 schools and I'm teaching the last, I don't know, 12 years, 14 years. So I want to protect us as a teacher, as a category. And we are not, okay? Because yoga, it's still these meditation things, okay? So in Netherlands, it is not necessary at all as far as I know, okay? That's good. So Netherlands, yeah, it can be different for the country. I know States, America, they have to ask because otherwise it's very strict insurance. Ireland, you have to ask. Greece, you have to ask. Spain depends from where, okay? It's really up to you, and it depends which kind of yoga you're doing. I tell you something that has been taught to me many years ago when it was not necessary. My advisor told me, if you want to sleep well in the night, you have to ask this, and do this and that. So this is how I choose to live. I don't want to have any anxiety about this. But yeah, good for you. In the Netherlands, it's not happening, okay. But for prenatal yoga, be careful, okay, because it's a very delicate topic. So keep going. What to avoid in prenatal yoga class? Okay, this is a big topic. There are a lot of opinion. Sometimes you will find different opinion about that because again, there is no Bible of prenatal yoga, and some teachers, they say, yeah, you can do everything until you feel like, and some other teacher will say, no, you don't do that. But there are some general rules that can apply to everybody. So first, you after the after the third month, so after 20 weeks, more or less, you don't make your students lying back flat on the floor. So, and now I want to specify, I've been lying flat for a long time. Other teachers, other students, it's just a caution you're taking, okay? It's just a caution and suggestion. What you can use for all the lying position, it's a bolster. And this is the most important thread for prenatal yoga. You can teach with anything else, but this is the most important. More than the blocks, more than a belt, you need this and the wall, and you can teach some nice prenatal yoga, safe. And with the bolster, you can just place 2 blocks under, and all the position like Supta Baddha Konasana, like Supta Padangustasana. There are so many positions you can teach lying on the back, but not flat. So you see, all my pictures about prenatal yoga are with Supta Baddha Konasana. It's the best position ever, and it's the best position for women generally. Okay? Very good. Then you should not teach deep spinal twist. Okay? Especially in the beginning of the pregnancy. Imagine that your body, okay, is moving and it's full of hormones. So it's especially in the beginning, this part, the lower part, the pelvic part, it has to be really relaxed all the time. So you don't want to bring this. Okay, so no spinal twist. Generally, I avoid spinal twist during pregnancy. In my prenatal yoga course, I'm teaching something like very easy, like sitting on the blocks, and I try to concentrate on the twist on the upper part of the body, because in every trimester they might feel discomfort on the stomach or on the lower back, on the lower belly, sorry. Quindi there is no point to teach that. Then you should avoid strong core and work out for abdominals. And I know sometimes we see this picture of pregnant women, you're not sick, you can still work out. Of course you can do anything, but in yoga, you don't do that, okay? According to traditional yoga and to Ayurveda, you just don't do that. There are a lot of risks working with abdominals, like diastase erecti, prolapse of pelvic floor. I met so many fit women that they did small mistakes during the pregnancy, and then they had to recover for so long. Most of the women that are going to the gym and they really don't care about the suggestion, then they experience diastase erecti, which is the when the abdominal part is opening, and it's happening because when you're pregnant, all these fascia, they are gonna open like this. If you strain them, they open too much, and in the worst scenario, they don't get back together. There is also an operation that you can do about that. I hope you will never experience this, and I hope you will never have a student. I have a couple of them. They are back to Hatha Yoga, and I have to give them all the variations for Hatha Yoga. Because when the diastase erecti is happening, you cannot go back, basically, if it's bad. And so, lying flat on the back, we use a bolster, okay, and to incline the back. Okay, Fatima, hi. Okay, don't worry, don't worry. You will see the recording. We just start with the 5 questions. If a student is pregnant, and then now we are moving to what not to do. And I'm just recap what not to do. So lying flat on the back after 20 weeks, which is basically 3 months. Then don't make your students do deep spinal twist. Okay. Then strong core, and then very important things, you should not do, it's forceful pranayama and breath retention. Okay? So I just take 1 minute to welcome who is coming now. Okay. I knew this will happen. Hi, everybody. Welcome who is just coming now. Don't worry, you will get the recording for the first part, and I can keep going a little bit longer. The webinar was moved half an hour before, and you should get the notification if you subscribe for the webinar. You should always subscribe in advance for the webinar. So if anything change, you get the notification, okay? But don't worry, everything is recorded. So I'm gonna recap now, and then we move to the second part. Okay, so Naomi, I'm gonna recap everything. Okay, guys, 5 questions you have to ask to a pregnant woman. Okay, how far along are you? Okay, so trimester matters. Modification are for the first, the second, and the third trimester. You have the recordings of the webinar, and you will have my notes. Then ask if this is their first pregnancy. Okay, it's very, very important, because if they have multiple pregnancy, they increase the pelvic instability, the fatigue, and sometimes the risk. Then you have to ask if they had medical clearance to practice yoga. I stayed here a lot in the first part of the webinar, because it's very important in Italy and everywhere else to protect you as a teacher and to protect the students, that the doctor say to your students, okay, you can teach prenatal yoga. And then ask, how do you feel today? This is question number 5. How are you feeling today? Okay, because you never know how a pregnant woman is feeling, and you know, let's say she's suffering from acidity, you don't ask her, you are asking her to do some little inversion or some exercise that maybe they're strong on the stomach, and she will feel sick. Okay. Hi, Esther. Yes, I will show how they can lie on the cushion, but you find a lot of pictures and the how to do the poses. This is a real part of the prenatal yoga 2TC. Okay, so when we go to the poses, I will show you the principle of how to teach these poses, because it's very important. Basically, you have to place the bolster in diagonal with the blocks under. So you don't want a pregnant woman to lie like this, but you want always to keep her back a little bit up. Mm-hmm. And also the head a little bit up, because she might be suffer of acidity. Then what to avoid in prenatal yoga class, very important. Okay, I'm gonna recap. Lying flat on the back after the 3rd trimester. Then do a strong spinal twist, okay? There is no need for that, and they're dangerous. Then strong core work. You don't want to cause diastase erecti or abdominal pressure. And plus they will feel, they will be scared, so they will not do it. Then avoid strong pranayama and breath retention. If you're teaching Kapalbhati, Bastrika, Anulom Vilom, Vilom Pranayama, Pratilom, Ujjayi, whatever you're teaching, in prenatal yoga, you don't do breath retention. And this has to be really clear. Then avoid hot yoga if you are teaching hot yoga, or Ashtanga or Vinyasa. Okay, this is not part of prenatal yoga. I know there is someone teaching Vinyasa prenatal yoga. Is not healthy, is not good, and I don't want to judge the other people, but according to traditional yoga, if you're pregnant, you need to use support, and you cannot do the flow. It's not good if you're sweating too much and if you're breathless. Okay. And about inversion, it's a big topic. So it's a big topic for teachers, and it's a big topic for pregnant students that are advanced or intermediate students. If you have a student that is really expert of the practice, and you might say that she has intermediate practice, she can do inversion, okay? It's okay to do Sarvangasana. Also, Iyengar, he was teaching, and the daughter of Iyengar was teaching in Prenatal Yoga Sarvangasana and some Shirshasana, but this is only for experts, okay? And with support. When you will start to teach prenatal yoga, usually you will have people with the average experience. And if you open a prenatal yoga class, you will get new students. So people that they never did yoga, but they see prenatal yoga and they come just for that. So it will be very difficult for you to teach Sarvangasana or Shirshasana or any kind of inversion. And in my course in TTC, I do not teach that. I teach what you need to know to offer a safe prenatal yoga class, okay? I want to pass straight away. I hope I have your attention about the props, okay? So props, you need props to teach prenatal yoga. This is my philosophy for many reasons. First of all, balance, okay? You need to help women to balance, because when you're pregnant and you go through the pregnancy, you can use the wall, you can use the chair to help to find the balance. For example, a beautiful pose we love to teach, like a Vrikshasana, 3 pose. It's very safe if you teach it with the wall or with the chair, because when you're pregnant, sometimes you feel unstable. Okay. Just keep writing question and then I will go to that. I just finished this and then I go to question. Support, the bolster and generally cotton blankets, they are very good to give support. For example, for the hips, blankets is good for the knees, is good for the neck. And there is a concept about prenatal yoga. You don't want to push them into the poses, but you are more focused on being present as a woman that is witnessing this moment and is helping students to feel better. Okay? And I love to think it that way, prenatal yoga, because they're coming to yoga really to feel good, not to do poses. Now yoga is very in fashion. So you have many students coming because they have to do the poses or they want to. They are not coming to challenge themselves. They're coming to feel good. Keep this in mind and you have a key for the prenatal yoga. The props, they help you also to give a relaxation moment, okay? So if you have a chair or bolster or a wall, you can do small inversion like Viparita Karani, like Baddha Konasana, just with the legs on the wall. And in prenatal yoga, you love to work with the wall and, you know, you want to make the body more light. So you want to give support. They love it, okay? And another reason why you should use props is because if they didn't have any experience about yoga, they will feel less judged. Imagine you are coming in a yoga class just because you're pregnant, you never did yoga, you don't even know what it's about, but your doctor said, you're stressed about this about this pregnancy, or your pelvic floor is tight, go and do yoga. And you never did yoga. So you don't know the poses and probably you will experience fatigue. So it's very nice to have props. They can really help you. Okay. So teach with presence in pregnancy, not with pressure. This is very important. Teach with presence. Okay. So I'm gonna drink a glass of water and then I want to answer to all your questions until now, especially on the breath work I can see. And then we go to some essential poses, and this is a very nice part. Okay. Okay, so let's take a moment to answer your question, and then we move to my favorite 5 poses for prenatal yoga. So first question, breath work. The question is, I should not teach any breath work in prenatal or just not strong breath work. There are prenatal breath work. So for example, Anulom Vilom is very good. And you can teach Anulom Vilom not with the usual count, but with the easy one. So first, you just teach alternate nostril breath. Okay, so first you just teach this, especially for students that they never did yoga. Then you can start to teach some pranayama, but it has to be very soft. They should not feel strain and they should not hold the breath. Okay. For prenatal yoga, there are specific pranayama you can do. But for now, let's say to keep it simple, what we all know as a yoga teacher is alternate nostril breath. And you can do it at the beginning of the class so they will focus on what they are gonna do. Okay, they will feel present. Then, second question, do you have tips for someone in prenatal yoga who had always a low blood pressure? Yeah, you have to be very careful. What I suggest is to first to talk with the doctor and to ask for some natural remedy. For example, zenzero, which I don't remember the name in English. Zenzero and lemon and ginger. Okay, ginger is taking your pressure a little bit high. Or if they don't have acidity, maybe before yoga, some piece of dark chocolate, or liquirizia. There are some herbs that help you to keep your pressure high, but you have to talk to the doctor about this. And you have to be careful because when you have a student with a low pressure in your class, they will feel dizzy all the time. Okay, so that's why it is also very important during the sequence to make sure you don't stress them. For example, if I'm doing Baddha Konasana, then I will move to on all four position and then I will move up. Okay, you don't pass from a lying position to standing position in prenatal. Never. It's one of the first rule I'm teaching for prenatal yoga. And any tips to add atmosphere to the room for the class, please? This is so important, okay? It's so important, guys. It's like even how you're dressed, it's important for prenatal yoga. It's like you enter in this beautiful pink world and where moms, they just want to talk with other moms and they want to feel included, they want to feel understood. So I dressed like this today because it's a prenatal yoga webinar. If I'm doing a restorative yoga, maybe I have something cotton, more earthy. Prenatal, it's pink, it's sweet, and the atmosphere in your studio should be like this. You can use candles, never use incense, okay? You can use essential oil, but never use incense. And because they might be feel sick, same for mom and baby, never. And well, we have pictures. I have the pictures that you find on my course, the Arhanta course. I print them, and in the changing room, you can see all the pictures of, prenatal and pregnancy. Some of them are pink, some of them are more whitish, but they are sweet. No, no, no. In care, you cannot have a pregnant woman in a restorative yoga class. Never. This is even for prenatal yoga, you need to teach prenatal yoga. And restorative yoga, it's even more dangerous than hatha yoga because if you choose a wrong pose and you let the pregnant students there for too long, she will feel sick. Let's say Matsyasana, you want to do the fish pose with support that I teach in restorative yoga, and the student is pregnant. She will probably stay there comfortable, but then maybe she will experience back pain or nausea. So restorative yoga is beautiful, but is restorative yoga normal? In the prenatal course, there is a restorative yoga for prenatal women. And you need to know anatomy about prenatal yoga because not every poses of restorative are good for prenatal, okay? Especially because we lie a lot. We lying is support, but we lying a lot, and this is not good. So it's another topic, prenatal, okay? Also Pilates, they have different certification. You need to know what is happening in the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, okay? I close your chat and I want to go through the position, okay? I will give you my best 5. Okay. My best 5, and this is not a TTC, so I'm just gonna show you the basics and to give you an idea. For example, Baddha Konasana, the one I'm talking always about, there is a way to use props, and it's this one, okay? One high, one low, like we do in restorative. This is already good for prenatal yoga. And because we talk about the back and everything, you can do some nice poses here, and there is no strict rules, okay? Some women, they will feel to go up here, and this is creating a nice arch from the belly, but if they're pain on the back, they will feel to go down here, and this is really up to you. And here you can have Baddha Konasana, you can also place some nice support here, or you can just ask them to cross the legs. This is also very nice and comfortable. If you have some experienced students, you can place, the arms on the back and ask them to hold the elbows. This is very nice to stretch all this part of the body. And, especially when the breast is growing a lot, you feel that the muscles are tight. And it's a nice, gentle opening of the thoracic area. So this is really nice. And, if they cannot cross the legs because they have a knee problem, which is very common nowadays, they can stay like this. So very nice. Okay. So this is my favorite, and it's very important you learn how to take them out of the pose. So first you roll on one side and then you come up. Okay. Then we have on all 4 position, and the cat and cow pose is beautiful for the spine. I think I don't need to show this to anybody, but I want just to point out the importance in pregnancy to use a support under the knees. Because of the relaxin, every woman, they will feel more sensitive on the joints, and they will feel sensitive on the wrist as well. So it's just very nice to give more support. And for all this position that you're gonna do, okay, so like 1, 2, or you can do all this sequence. In the tiger sequence, I want to tell you, you never take the knee here, okay? You just stay here and you do small little movement. But let's say cat and cow, you can start here, and then another pose that I love, and can be a short sequence, is to start in all 4, then have the bolster here, and if they are in the beginning of the pregnancy, you just give a rest on the child pose like this, okay? They can relax their head on the bolster. The head should be relaxed in order to feel the belly relaxed. Because if you stay here, you're not relaxed, okay? So a support is nice. If you don't have a bolster, you can just use a block. And this is very therapeutic. So I call this Balasana variation for pregnancy, okay? It's not the hero pose. My toes are under my thighs, my hips, and I'm just doing a triangle, okay? So it's just a variation of Balasana. You have to keep in mind that every pose in prenatal yoga is helping women to feel relaxed in the abdominal area. Okay? So another pose that I love, it's Malasana. I really love this pose for pregnancy. You can do it to the bolster, you can do it to the blocks, 2 blocks if you have a beginner, and unless you have students with a low placenta, that it's something that you really need to be careful about. This pose, it's very nice and it's universal pose with 2 blocks, so they will not feel the full pressure on the knees. They will not feel that, and they will not feel tightness here. Okay, so you need to use 1 or 2 blocks. Like here, there is no compression on the lower belly. You still have the benefit in every area for this pose, and you can just relax. And then which one I choose? Okay, I tell you 4. I can give you another one. If you have some more minutes, who came with me here very early. It's already 1 hour. We are online. Let's do the last variation. If you want to teach Supta Padangusthasana, which I think you should, you can use the bolster just to make sure the flat is not, the back is not flat. And then you can use the belt or anything you're using in your studio. You just do 1 leg at a time. So this is an easy variation. You keep this bent, okay, because this is more difficult. And you just do 1 side, then the other side, and then maybe you prepare the 2 blocks here, and you can go to the opening and then come back, okay? These are my favorite 5 poses, like you really can teach them all the time. Question? There are so many. You want to know how many poses are in the course? I have, I think 50 videos about how to teach prenatal yoga. 50. It was a big job. And I recorded that my son was 2.5. So it was very beautiful. He was still very small. And then I recorded the postnatal and then the mom and baby. Let's see question. Okay, okay, yes. Sometimes pregnant women are coming to my restorative yoga class and I need to advise prenatal yoga. Okay. You know, Inke, they should ask when someone is coming to your classes, there should be a questions. Okay, this is very important. Because it's not so, it's obvious for us to tell as a yoga teacher if you are pregnant or not. They will do also with yin yoga. Okay, they will do also for yin yoga. They will come up because it's yin. I thought it was okay. It is okay, but again, the importance of communication. If you talk to your students before they come to your class, or if, let's say you work for a gym, you are teaching yoga, there must be someone that is going to talk to these people coming to yoga, okay? To know you can't be blind. You're not on a blind date. You should know what is happening. And if they're coming to restorative yoga and you did the restorative yoga class for back pain, which is not good for prenatal, they have to go home because otherwise your class will be a nightmare. Okay, so just keep in mind, you're not for everybody and you don't have to be crazy. If a pregnant woman is coming to your restorative webinar or a restorative yoga class, maybe you have to send her home. Are they all show just now for first trimester? Hi, what's your name? Are they all shown just now for first trimester? No, I'm not showing divided by trimester. These poses that I show you, they are good for every trimesters, okay? In the course, I have all the variation for Olasana, and then you can find the first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester suggestion, okay? If you have any more questions, just type them in. I want also to let you know that you will receive the recordings, the notes, and some special discounts for the course. I want to tell you a little bit more about the postnatal. Last month, I don't know what happened. I don't know if we talk more about this, but I got a lot of new teachers for postnatal yoga. And by postnatal yoga, I mean postnatal and mom and baby, like really an explosion. And I think because when you start to do prenatal yoga and you start to teach prenatal yoga, that you need the follow-up. So you start to see that it's working, you start to see that your students are coming, and you really understand that after the labor, they cannot come to your regular class because that would be wrong, okay? So postnatal yoga, it's not to lose your students between pregnancy and after pregnancy. And also what I say and what I experience here in my schools with my teachers is that if you don't offer prenatal yoga and postnatal yoga in your classes, in your school, on your schedule, you will lose them for years because you get pregnant, you have 9 months, and plus at least 1 year with the baby. So for 2 years, you don't see your students. And if they are very regular students, maybe they come back, but maybe they will do something else. So they will just get lost. So they will come back when the baby is 5 years old and they start to have a life again. So for us, it's a good bridge because every student will get pregnant at some stage to learn what to teach in prenatal yoga. Have at least in your week 1 class of prenatal yoga and then 1 class of postnatal yoga. And so in postnatal yoga, what do you do? It's basically recovering for mom. So you're focused a lot on relaxation, on breath work because they don't sleep. So the breath, the nervous system, it's kind of exhausted and is not working properly. And then you want to feel the body again. So it's a lot of movement. And again, it's a lot of movement with the blocks because you can use blocks to activate, for example, the pelvic floor again and the abdominal fascia. So in postnatal yoga, one position that you will find very useful is this one. You're just lying flat on the back and you will learn how to do a bridge pose variation with the block, which is going to be like this, up and down by holding the block. So all this pink world of prenatal has its own character, has its own variation, and it's something that I suggest you to explore because it's beautiful. And when you teach prenatal yoga, then you are connected forever because it's one of the most important time of a woman. Just be careful, as I said in the beginning, you need to know what you're doing. Okay, you need to know variation and the basic rules, and you need to talk to these women to know if everything is okay. Otherwise, you're taking a risk that it's too big. It's too big for you, trust me. Okay, especially if they have miscarriage. Okay? I will create the recordings of the whole webinar, and you will receive the webinar from Arhanta. Okay. For sure with a special discount for prenatal, postnatal, and mom and baby. If you want to reach out to me, just find me on Instagram or on our Arhanta page. You should be all Arhanta word because this webinar was private. I love to spend my time with you. I love to help you. So if you need any private question or private you're welcome. Or private consultation, just, find me and send me an email. Even if you send to Arhanta an email with my name, they will forward to me, okay? And I hope you enjoy. I hope I inspired you. I really love this word. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope to see you in the next one. Probably in the next one, we are going to talk again more about prenatal yoga and postnatal yoga. So if you get students that just had pregnancy, what you should avoid and what you should do. Okay? I wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend, guys. Thank you for your participation. You're so many. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.